A 17-year-old from State College, Pennsylvania just walked off a Washington stage holding a check for $250,000 and a discovery that could rewrite how the world fights antibiotic resistance. His name is Connor Hill, and until 3 weeks ago, almost no one outside his high school chemistry lab had ever heard it. That changed on the night of March 17, 2026, when the Regeneron Science Talent Search, the oldest, most prestigious science competition in America, the same contest that has minted 13 Nobel laureates, named Connor Hill its top winner, beating out nearly 2,000 of the sharpest teenage minds in the country. But here's what makes his story impossible to look away from. Connor didn't grow up in a Silicon Valley bubble. He didn't have a parent running a biotech lab. His father teaches middle school history. His mother is a nurse. The family computer is a 6-year-old laptop with a cracked hinge. So how does a quiet kid from a small Pennsylvania college town end up outthinking the best young scientists in America? It started, of all places, with his grandmother. When Connor was 12, she developed a urinary tract infection that refused to respond to antibiotics. Doctors tried one drug, then another, then a third. Nothing worked. She spent 11 days in the hospital while bacteria the size of a speck of dust outmaneuvered modern medicine. She survived barely, and Connor, sitting in that sterile waiting room, asked a question most adults never bother to ask. Why are the bugs winning? That question became an obsession. By 14, he was reading peer-reviewed microbiology papers the way other kids read comic books. By 15, he was emailing professors at Penn State asking politely, persistently, if anyone would let him sweep floors in a lab, just to be near the work. One professor finally said yes. What Connor did next is the part that stuns the judges. Most antibiotic research focuses on killing bacteria. Connor went the other direction. He asked, what if, instead of killing them, we could quietly disarm them? Strip away the molecular weapons they use to resist drugs, without ever triggering the evolutionary pressure that creates superbugs in the first place? Working nights, weekends, and every stolen hour between calculus homework and cross-country practice, Connor identified a small molecule. He calls it a silencer that binds to a specific protein on the surface of multi-drug resistant E. coli. The bacteria don't die, they just forget how to fight back. And when Connor exposed those disarmed bacteria to ordinary, decades-old antibiotics, the cheap ones, the ones we'd given up on, the infection collapsed. In his lab notebook, in tiny pencil handwriting, he wrote a single line under the result. It said simply, Grandma. The Regeneron judges spent 40 minutes grilling him. They asked about resistance pathways, about off-target effects, about scaling. Connor answered every question without notes. One judge later told reporters she forgot, for a moment, that she was talking to a high school senior. When his name was called as the winner, Connor didn't celebrate. He didn't pump a fist. He just exhaled, like he'd been holding his breath for 5 years. Then he walked to the microphone and thanked his chemistry teacher, his parents, the professor who let him sweep the floors, and his grandmother, who is now 78 and was watching from a folding chair in the front row. Here's why this matters, far beyond one teenager and one trophy. The World Health Organization estimates that by 2050, antibiotic-resistant infections will kill 10 million people every year, more than cancer, more than car accidents and diabetes combined. We are running out of weapons, and a kid from State College working with borrowed equipment may have just shown us a brand new kind of weapon that the bacteria can't evolve around. Connor starts at MIT this fall. He's already in talks with 2 research hospitals about moving his silencer molecule toward clinical trials. The $250,000, he's putting most of it toward his grandmother's medical bills and his younger sister's college fund. When a reporter asked him what he'd say to other kids who feel invisible, who don't have the connections or the money or the famous parents, Connor thought for a long moment. Then he said, ask the question nobody else is asking, and don't stop asking it. 17 years old, a cracked laptop, a sick grandmother, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of the end of the antibiotic crisis. If stories like Connor's move you, if you believe quiet genius deserves a louder stage, subscribe to Prodigy Pulse, because the next world changer is out there right now, probably in a small town, probably asking a question no one else will, and we're going to find them.